everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pi Revolution. So on this tutorial we're going to continue on PyQt4 and talk about events and signals. So events and signals are a huge part of GUIs if you're dealing with buttons and tabs. So basic GUI one-on-one. So there are three objects you need to worry about for GUIs. The first one is the event source. An event source is an object that's generating a signal. For example, a button. When you click a button, you're creating a signal. Next up is the event object, which is the signal itself. Then the signal reaches its destination called the event target. So for example, for my calculator, if I push a button, a number, it sends a signal to my LED screen, and my LED screen shows the number that I pressed on the button. So for PyQt4, there are specific terms for source, object, and target. So our event object is called a signal. So this is our signal, and our target is a slot. So our button is basically the source. Our signal will be called, well, signal, and our LED screen would be the slot, which gets transformed by the signal created by the source. So over here we have a simple GUI. So last tutorial we created a button which basically didn't do anything. Over here our button is going to be the source, and we're going to create a label, and our label will be the slot. In fact, we're going to just call it a slot. Now a button, we have added a new line of code here. So a button can create a signal, and that's done using this code. So we have self.button, so the button on our widget, dot collect, so when we click on the button, that's the action, dot connect, so this defines what is the destination of our signal. So that's going to be done by self.signal. So self.signal over here is a function. So basically in PyQt4 you have this source, and over here you have the action that you perform on the source, and then it connects to a particular function. So over here we'll call our function the signal. I'm using this term so it's easier to go with the terminology. So we defined a function called signal that the button connects to, and what it basically does is it takes the label that we have defined over here, and our label will have the string slot. So when you click the button, the function is going to set a text on our label. So instead of button, instead of slot, we'll be seeing signal received, and then it's going to slightly readjust our label, as in move to a slightly different location. So there will be a slight shift in the x-axis, and then we're going to readjust the size of the label based on what content it has, and everything else is pretty much the same. So let us run our code. Okay, so you have this widget, signals and events, and you have this button, and you have a label that says slot. So let's see what happens when you click on the button. Signal received. So basically our button transformed this label using our signal function. Now let's move on to the next part. And yes, congratulations, you have a working button. You're one step closer to world domination. Moving on, let's try something a bit more sophisticated. So we have our button, we have our label. Now when you click the button, it's going to use signal dialogs. So over here we have the signal dialog function, and let's take a look at what this does. So we have text OK equals to Q input dialog. So we actually have a dialog box that will pop up. So the dialog box would be on the widget itself. It's going to have the title dialog box, and then it'll ask you to enter a text. So on the left of the text box will say enter text. You'll see all this in a moment. So when you enter text and when you click OK, so this is the OK button. If OK, set label to the string.text. So whatever text you type in the dialog box, and then label adjust size. So this part is kind of confusing. Let us run the code and watch it at the same time. So, oh, the kernel just died. That's still gonna work. Okay, so let's take our look at our code and look at our function, our GUI at the same time. So you have slot button. You click on the button, and here's your dialog box. So you see dialog box. As you see dialog box, you have enter text as an enter text, and let's enter text. I love cats. Sorry, I'm a huge cat person, and well, this will be pretty obvious in a bit. So you write I love cats, and that's our text over here, and then we click our OK button, and voila, our self.label got transformed into I love cats. And I guess I should have shifted this a bit more to the x-axis, but whatever. We have a working thing. Sorry, I got bored. Moving on. Now the cool thing, what you saw over here was that our label, our button basically was a source that created another source, and while it was a source over here, so this is our dialog box here is an object, but also at the same time is acting as a source. So the button sent a signal to a dialog box, so it acted like a object, but now you can use the dialog box as a source to transform the label. So our dialog box essentially is an object for the button and a source for the label. So it's a source and a label at the, a source and an object at the same time. So mind blown. So here's our mind blown kitty thinking about our dialog box. Well, I'm sure it was thinking about tuna, but just for fun, let's just imagine it was thinking about dialog boxes. Anyways, that's it for our current tutorial. On our next tutorial, we'll talk about layouts. So layouts basically is how you can cleanly organize the buttons, to, tabs and everything. Right now, as you have seen on the dialog box, kernel keeps dying. As you've seen on the dialog box, if I change something, it's not adjusted really well, and you have to set the coordinates and everything. Luckily, PyQt4 comes with a lot of layout functions, which I'll cover in the next tutorial. So till then, have fun, and the kitty's asking you to subscribe right now because it's awesome. See, he finds it awesome. So have fun and please subscribe.